All right. Gonna do a quick recap of Thanksgiving games, and then jump into some spreads for this weekend. I'm gonna do my tier ones, bets I like, tier twos, bets I picking a side, but maybe don't like as much, not as confident in, and then I got a couple of voids. Trying to pick more games this week, but we'll talk about it as we go. So for yesterday's games, hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. Texans at Lions was first up, and I really liked the Texans -3 in this one. Um, just the Lions have just been so troubled, and without Kenny Galladay, that offense just isn't as good. Matt Stafford's kind of been struggling. I mean, he kind of has to do. I think he feels like he has to go out there and win games for his team, and he just doesn't quite have the support to do it on defense or with his weapons on offense. So ends up throwing picks, ends up struggling. So I liked the Texans offense better to kind of win more of an offensive minded game. And man, in the first quarter, I was starting to get worried. Like I think it was a couple minutes left in the first quarter, and it was like 7-0. Don't know who was ahead, but then back to it must have been 7-0 Lions, and then like back to back like turnovers, short field for the Texans, ends up being like 13-7 coming out of the first quarter, and all of a sudden it's a 20-point first quarter, and I was feeling great because I had parlayed Texans -3, the over 52.5, and then Washington +3, and that ended up paying and making a pretty good Thanksgiving for me. But yeah, Texans kind of end up stomping on them as the game goes on, 41-25. Not a fourth quarter worth watching, but entertaining ball at times when the Texans were making some plays and some sloppy football in the beginning, which can be awful to watch, but I thought it was kind of entertaining when they were just fumbling the ball back to each other. It was just like, what are you doing? I don't know. Then the next game, Washington at Cowboys. I did not watch this game as closely. Just wasn't that interested in it, but I was pretty confident in, if you watched my last video, I was pretty confident in the Washington team beating up on the Cowboys. They just have that stout defensive line that I knew was going to give Dalton some trouble, not give him a lot of time to throw, going to shut down Zeke. And I thought the Redskins offense was going to be able to get going with Terry McLaurin and Alex Smith, doing some game manager stuff and them being able to run the ball. And, Antonio Gibson had a day, 3 touchdowns, 100-some yards, just went off. Luckily, I chickened out. This was at 46 was the over-under in this game. And I kind of liked the under, but I was a little afraid of it because, 46 is pretty low total. And then, especially towards the end of the game, man, the Redskins really got away with it and ran up the score. It ended up being 41-16, and yeah, that over hit. So luckily I avoided that over under in my parlay and got paid. Otherwise it would have been ruined. But yeah, that's not a lot to say about the game other than some stuff I've already said, that Mike McCarthy is kind of a clown and the Cowboys shouldn't have hired him. And I'm said that multiple times throughout this season, not before it was cool. All right, jumping into this weekend's matchups. Hopefully I can keep the steam going. I had a couple rough weeks before this week, so if I can have a good week here on Sunday, that would be a big bonus. Try to get back on my feet, get back into the riches I once enjoyed in my sports betting account. What am I saying? Tier 1 bets. So these are bets I am confident in. I have no problem recommending to other people. I just, can't really see it going another way. Doesn't mean they're always right. Actually had pretty rough luck on them lately, but these are the ones I like. And there's some weirdness going on this week. So I've been looking more into where the money is going and where the public is trying to take bets and kind of how that's influencing the spread. I did that a little bit more, at least for these 3 games, and man, Vegas is up to something. I was just talking with my friends. Sometimes I swear they know the future, and I know other people say this, but it's just how can you predict some of these spreads and be so close sometimes? And man, something's fishy because the first spread, or Las Vegas at Falcons, this one's at -3 Las Vegas, and I just don't get that one. I think it might have opened as a pick. I don't know. That must have been the next game. Las Vegas at Falcons. So the Falcons have had a rough season. Been a pretty bad team. Terrible defense. An offense that can get going sometimes, but they've blown huge leads. They've just fired their head coach. Falcons have not been good. Raiders, on the other hand, just went toe to toe with the big bad Chiefs and beat the Chiefs in their first matchup. Took the second matchup, take them to overtime, almost win. And they've played a good schedule, done well in all their games that I remember. Don't remember like a huge lapse and blow up, but even if they had, man, they've had a solid season. They're going to be a playoff team, and I think they're gonna be a tough out if you have to face them. They're gonna be a wild card team. But for whatever reason, this is a -3 spread, and I don't get that. And overwhelmingly, the money's coming in on the Raiders. So for the spread, 70% of the money is coming on Las Vegas' side, the -3. On the money line, 97% has come in on Las Vegas, and 85% has come in on the over 54 points. So, and the line hasn't really shifted that much. I don't know what Vegas is up to. I feel like they know something. I don't know what I'm missing. Maybe I'm missing an injury. I don't remember hearing anything. I just don't get it. I think Las Vegas should wipe the floor. -3 seems pretty favorable. So I don't know. I'm taking the cheese. I'm going to go for it. Next game, very similar. Cardinals at Patriots. Now this game I believe opened as a pick'em and has moved to -2 cards in favor of the Cardinals. And I don't really get that either. I mean, the Patriots have been kind of all over the place. They failed to cover against the Jets a couple weeks ago. Then they upset the Ravens in that monsoon game. And then they turn around and get upset by the Texans in turn. And now they're playing at home against the Cardinals, and Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins and that Cliff Kingsbury offense, they've been good. So the Cardinals lost their last game in a close one with Seattle, and then they had the Hail Mary win over the Bills. But I just don't get it. I don't get why they wouldn't be favored by more than -2. The Patriots have just been not a good team this year. And again, 83% of the money has come in on the Cardinal side of the spread. 99% has come in on the Cardinal side of the money line. And 92% has come in on the over 49.5. So this is another one where I just don't understand the spread, and I feel like Vegas is up to something. The only concern I have about this one is you'll want to keep an eye on Kyler Murray's health status. But he's going to play. Last week he hurt his shoulder in the Seattle game, and that definitely affected him during the game. But he played through it. So you'd think with like a week to get healthier, he's definitely going to play. But how much is that shoulder injury going to affect him? I don't know how much that scares you. I think I'm comfortable enough with it that I would still take, the Cardinals -2 here. But, and I guess another concern is I think the Cardinals are pretty nicked up on defense. I think they lost a D lineman a couple weeks ago, and I'd have to look more into that injury report and that depth chart to really figure out what the heck's going on with their defense. But I think their defense have lost a few pieces, but nothing on the Patriots really scares me. Just they got Cam's legs, and then they got Damian Harris. And yeah, Jacoby Myers actually has some pep in his step. He actually looks kind of dynamic when he gets the ball in his hands to open space. But if you have a plan for him, then I'm not too worried about how the Patriots can hurt you. So I'm taking the cheese again. I'll take the Cardinals -2. Another thing to be concerned is both those are road favorites, and my third tier one is also a road favorite. So, maybe you're screaming at the screen and be like, Justin, you're an idiot. But I don't know. You gotta take the games you like. And this third one is another one. Seattle at Eagles. This game, this spread is opened at -3 and has moved to -5. So this is another one. The public is jumping on the Seahawks, and I'm with them. I don't know, like 91% of the money has come in on the -5 or the Hawks side of the spread. 99% of the money line. 85% has come in on the under 50, and that's probably a statement on what people think the Eagles offense is going to be able to do. and maybe that Eagles defense stymieing the Seattle just a little bit. But I think Seattle's defense has played better in their last two games. They played the Rams last week, and was that 2 weeks ago? And then they played the Cardinals. So two division games where the defense I thought played better. They lost to the Rams, and then they beat the Cardinals. But I thought their defense played better in those games than it had, the first 8 weeks of the season, where the Seattle defense was just letting everything through. So I think the Seattle defense has been playing a little bit better. Chris Carson might be back. So I think Seattle is kind of trending upward, and the Eagles, I thought they would have kind of some spunk in their step at the end of the season, getting, I said this before, but getting Miles Sanders back, getting Jalen Reagor back, and just getting a little healthier. I thought the Eagles were going to have some spunk down the stretch, and they just haven't. They're just terrible. Carson Wentz continues to have a terrible season. So I just don't have any confidence in the Eagles, and their defense is I might be sleeping on their defense a little bit with that -5 spread, but I know it's boring, but I think Seattle's going to be more effective on the ground, and I think, there's still DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Russell Wilson. So you got to like Seattle, and I just don't really trust the Eagles and Carson Wentz to do much. So I'll take the cheese one more time, and I'll take the Hawks on the road in Philly, -5. So those are my tier 1 bets. Those are the ones I feel good about. Those, based on where the public's money going, a lot of people feel pretty good about those. So nothing earth-shattering there. But I don't know. That's what I got. Do with it what you will. Tier 2 bets. So these are bets I still feel good about. I think this next one might arguably be a tier 1, but these are ones I still feel good about, but for whatever reason, I'm just not as confident in, and I'm hedging my money a little bit, not pouring as much money onto these matchups. First one, Chiefs at Buccaneers. So right now the Chiefs are -3.5 point favorites going down to Tampa Bay, and these are kind of two juggernauts in a way, right? The Buccaneers have kind of been all over the place. They play out of their minds one week, and the offense is clicking, and they score 40 points, and the defense is just shuts down the run. And then the next week, they have a shitty game against the Chicago Bears or something. And they've kind of been doing that up and down. Yeah, I really don't know what to expect. But I do know one thing, and it's that last week when the Rams beat the Buccaneers, they had a formula. The Rams totally flipped the script on what they had done in the season up to this point. They had been trying to run the ball with Malcolm Brown and Darrell Henderson and Cam Akers, trying to get him involved. And then they turn around in this game, and it's short passing to Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. Jared Goff ended up having 51 attempts. They just didn't even try to run on the Bucs. They're just we're gonna exploit these matchups on the cornerbacks. We have better wide receivers, and we're gonna dink, 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 and we're gonna death by 1,000 cuts. And Goff didn't even play all that clean. He had a couple interceptions. And I just think that formula that the Rams showed, the Chiefs can do that better. If you're going to ask Patrick Mahomes to air out the ball a little bit and just abandon the run and keep hitting his more talented, faster wide receivers, exploiting those one-on-one matchups against these corners and in short kind of routes, slants and stuff, that's what the Chiefs have been doing all season. They have a terrible run game. They can't run in short yardage. So, I just like the Chiefs to kind of repeat that same thing and do it better than the Rams could and come out with a win. So I really like the Chiefs -3.5. I almost feel like this should be a tier 1. My only concern is just that Buccaneers defense and Patrick Mahomes not having a lot of time, because the Chiefs O-line has not been good, especially run blocking and short yardage. I think even if they wanted to run the ball, they wouldn't be able to. So knowing that they're going to be forcing the pass, maybe that makes it easier for the Bucs to prepare. I don't think Bruce Arians is very good at kind of game planning and exploiting things like that. He kind of just runs the same thing and asks the other team to stop it. But I don't know. That's my only concern, is just that Bucs defensive line and getting after Mahomes. But I think they'll be able to do what the Rams did, just better. So I like the Chiefs a lot. Chiefs -3.5. continued. And I think this one, the Chiefs, the money's coming in on the Chiefs money line, but on the spread, I think it was much more even. I think even the public was kind of starting to jump on the Buccaneers plus 3.5, but I like the Chiefs. And that's like one of the smallest spreads ever, of the year on the Chiefs. Most of the time they're -7, -8 point favorites. So I'll take the -3.5. Next tier 2 bet, Browns at Jaguars. So right now the Browns are -7 point favorites, and the Jaguars have not played very well. I mean, they're going to be, their defense is terrible. They're going to be marching. I think they're benching Jake Luton, and now Mike Glennon is going to come in to start. And I don't know, I actually thought Mike Glennon, so there was a game years and years ago when Mike Glennon was starting for the Buccaneers, and he led like a game-winning drive against the Steelers, and I thought Mike Glennon was going to be good. And then he went to the Bears and was terrible, like never got benched right off the get-go or something. It was just crazy. So then we never heard, I think he started a couple games or filled in a couple games for the Raiders. But yeah, Mike Glennon never really blossomed the way he looked on that game-winning drive. But see, he's a veteran, but he's a backup. The Browns defense isn't that good. But when you look at this Jags defense and you look at Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, you got to like the Browns side of that. The only concern is that it's a -7 point spread. So, and the Browns just haven't really blown teams out. They don't really have a passing game to really kind of stick that dagger in the back. So I worry a little bit that their style and their kind of lack of effectiveness in the passing game makes it less likely they're going to blow out the Jags by double digits. But I think they will, just because that running game is so strong and the Jags are so inept on offense and defense right now. So I'll take the -7, but it's a tier 2 just because I'm a little iffy on that style, that running style, that it's not exactly designed to run up the score, if that makes sense. I definitely think they're going to win. Next game, Giants at Bengals. So the Bengals lost Joe Burrow, pour one out for my boy. But yeah, they suck at everything except him. Like they have Tyler Boyd. They had Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins really producing because Joe Burrow was having to play catch up all the time. But we don't have Joe Burrow anymore, and we saw Zach Taylor without Joe Burrow last year, and they were 2-14. And I don't really have any faith that Zach Taylor is like a genius coach when he doesn't have a quarterback. And the changes, they're not the same team as they were last year, but a lot of those changes I just don't really think have panned out. Their offensive line is still just absolute trash. And they're they brought in Trey Waynes on defense. Well, he tore his pec like immediately, so he hasn't played a game. Just don't really think defensively any of the offseason changes have really changed. So I think we're in the 2-14 territory, and they're not going to win any games here without Joe Burrow. And the Giants are not a good team either. They got like 3 wins. But their defense is all right and has played well against some better, some of the decent offenses in the NFL. And their offense, I think, is good enough. I think on this Bengals defense, they'll be able to actually, run the ball okay. Wayne Gallman, I'm expecting a touchdown or 2 out of him. Danny Dimes being able to move the ball a little bit with Darius Slayton and what is that other guy's name? Sterling Shepard. So maybe get their hack Evan Ingram tight end involved a little bit. I like the Giants to be able to do enough, and the Bengals probably won't be able to do anything well. So the Giants are -6 point favorites, if I didn't say that. So that's the only reason, I guess, is a tier 2, is that -6 means they got to win by at least a touchdown, and who knows, maybe the Giants kind of screw this up, but I feel pretty confident that the Bengals are going to be dog shit, and the Giants going to be hard to kind of choke that one away. They're not going to be, they're in a division race at this point, and they can't. I think Joe Judge is going to show up to play, and he's probably a better coach than Zach Taylor. So that's what I got for that game. Panthers at Vikings. So normally I try to stay away from Vikings bets just because I'm going to be watching them. I'm already like antsy. I'm a fan of the Vikings, but I don't know. I feel good enough about the Vikings that I'm going to recommend this one. Or I'm also trying to change, just because I might not take a bet because of my personal feelings, I'm going to try to honestly rank them in my tiers. Before I was like kind of giving you my honest opinion, but I was leaving them as avoids. But I think it'd be more appropriate to put this as a tier 2 and then say, yeah, but I'm probably not going to personally put money on it. Just because I do have some confidence that the Vikings are going to cover that -3.5. Teddy's going to be back for the Panthers. He missed a game on with a knee injury, but Christian McCaffrey is doubtful. I'm not expecting him to be back. So it's Teddy and Mike Davis, who's played all right at running back for them, and then they got some good wide receivers in Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, and DJ Moore. So they got some good weapons, and the Vikings defense is not very good. They got kind of a weak pass rush, weak offensive or defensive line against the run, and their cornerbacks are a bunch of rookies and kind of undrafted players. But I don't know. I think these teams are pretty comparable, and the X factor is Dalvin Cook, because you turn around. So I do think the Panthers will be able to move the ball a bit and score some points, and they got a good coaching down there. But their defense sucks, and the Vikings have Dalvin Cook, and Kirk Cousins has been playing lights out. And we got the rookie Justin Jefferson, and then Adam Thielen on the other side, who leads the NFL in touchdowns. So Adam Thielen right now is on the COVID list. So if he is unable to, I expect him to play. I haven't heard he tested positive. I think it's just a close contact. So I'm expecting him to play on Sunday. And if they're at full strength there, I just think the Vikings offense is too good. If the Panthers had Christian McCaffrey, then I would say this is a coin flip, but they don't. And Dalvin Cook is a monster right now. So I like the Vikings to be able to kind of insert their will on the Panthers here. Assert their will? I don't know. I like Dalvin to really have a huge game. That, not a bold prediction. He's been having a lot of huge games. So I think Dalvin's going to run away with this one and make it tough for the Panthers to compete, even if they have kind of a good passing game and kind of can exploit the Vikings defense. Next game, Dolphins at Jets. Right now, Dolphins -7-point favorites, and that's the side I like. Kind of hack, I guess, to pick against the Dolphins or to pick against the Jets. I don't know, but and they've burned me a couple times recently. They burned me against the Patriots. They burned me against the Chargers, betting against them. But we're doing it again because the Dolphins are a better team than the Jets, and I think their defense. So my concern in this game is that Tua. This needs to be a confidence booster game for Tua. They need to break out his arm and take some deeper shots. I just think the Dolphins' offense with Tua in there is just so conservative. He's taking dump offs and short passes. It's a dink and dink offense. Not that I've really watched a lot of their games, but I just get the impression that they're just protecting him a lot and trying to lean on that run game and short passing, and they really got to take some dunk. It's dink and dink. It's not dink and dunk. They need to dink and dunk. They need to take some longer shots, boost Tua's confidence a little bit against a bad Jets defense, and really kind of try to score some points, because I don't know. That's what worries me here is Dolphins offense. In that -7, so they got to win by more than a touchdown. But that's the negative. That's why it's a tier 2. The tier 1 is that they were just the reason that I'm picking them, not tier 1, the reason I still like them enough to pick them is that their defense is good. They got ran on last week by the Broncos. They got upset. So that was a surprise. But the Jets have Frank Gore at running back. They're not going to be able to run on this Dolphins defense the same way that Melvin Gordon was able to last week. And they got some really good corners that are going to be covering these kind of journeyman, Brashad Perryman and Denzel Mims, rookie wide receiver. I think Crowder's going to be back, so he might get some catches, in that slot receiver role, but I don't think enough to really score a lot of points and really dagger the Dolphins D here. So I really like the Dolphins D against that Jets, Joe Flacco-led offense with Frank Gore at running back, and the Jets are just bad, so I think Tua will... with a run, they'll be able to run the ball. Dolphins will be able to run the ball on the Jets and score some points. I think you got to pick the better coached team with better talent here and trust them to cover the -7. And man, if Tua can't get it done, I don't know. I'd be worried if I was a Dolphins fan. I would worry that you got the third best quarterback in a draft that only had two good ones. Saints at Broncos is my next game here. So right now, Saints are minus 6-point favorites, and I think that's where the money's coming in. I think it's moved quite a bit to get to that minus 6. And the Broncos upset the Dolphins last week, and the Dolphins are, definitely a upper middle good team. But they were able to run, like I just said, they were able to run on the Dolphins. I don't think they're going to be able to run on the Saints. The Saints defense has been, top 3 against the run. Sometimes I think that is a formula of just game script, and you have to pass. If you want to play the Saints, you have to pass a lot. So they don't get run on as much. So it's just as much that they don't get run on as much as their defense is good against the run. But I'm going to choose to buy in for this week at least that they're going to be able to shut down the Broncos' running attack better than the Dolphins did last week, and that their offense should be better, in Taysom Hill's. So they were good enough to win last week, and in Taysom Hill's second start, I think things will run a little bit smoother. He'll be able to hit his wide receivers a little bit more chemistry, a little bit more comfort, running that offense in his second start, and they're just an all-around much better team than the Broncos. And I think Taysom Hill will do enough to get it done. So I like them. It's minus 6 Saints. So that's why it's a tier 2. It's because you can't have a ton of confidence, I guess, in Taysom Hill, the second time around. But I have enough that I like the Saints minus 6. All right. Whew. So now all we got left here is the avoids and the couple games that are off the board right now. So I'm kind of shifting this over. It's more of a podcast. You listen to it in chunks. Eventually, I'm going to try to set up a site and get it on Spotify, iTunes, so you can podcast it there and listen to it in chunks easier than like the YouTube app. But this is what I got for now. But yeah, so I can make these videos as long as I want now that it's a podcast. No, I'm just kidding. I never want to waste your guys' time, so that was just me just kind of explaining a few things. I'm never trying to waste people's time, so we'll keep going here. Avoids 49ers at Rams. So this is, right, it was 49ers plus 7 or Rams minus 7, however you want to talk about it. Rams 7-point favorites. It's moved slightly in favor of the 49ers, so it's like plus 6.5 49ers right now. And the 49ers scare me a little bit just because, they played they have a ton of injuries. Kittle out, Jimmy Garoppolo out for the season. All those injuries on the defense, and it was just too much to overcome. Nick Mullins kind of playing pretty spotty this year. And that Rams defense is good. So Nick Mullins against that good Rams defense, not a good matchup at all for him. But the 49ers coming off a bye, getting Raheem Mostert back, it just kind of scares me a little bit. I feel like Kyle Shanahan, this division game, I feel like Kyle Shanahan, is still going to try to win games. He's a good creative coach. So that scares me a little bit. Scares me a little bit too much to trust the Rams minus, 6.5, 7. Just don't feel good enough about it. Even with that good Rams D, I just don't feel good enough about it to really stick my neck out for it. Another game, and this one I'm kind of disappointed in. Whenever there's like a great matchup, I kind of feel like I'm cheating a little bit when I put it as an avoid because I don't pick a side, right? But like, you got to be honest. Like, I'm not going to make up a side and an argument to support it if I don't feel that good about it. So another game I'm probably just going to watch and really interested in and probably not going to put money on it because I can see it going both ways and just have no confidence is Titans at Colts. So last time these two teams faced, I took the Colts on the road at Titans. They were like minus 2.5-point favorites. And I theorized that Colts D-line would be able to really take advantage of not so much depleted, but a very damaged Titans offensive line. They lost Taylor Lewan, their starting left tackle. So they're just not that, and that's a huge piece. And they rely on that Derrick Henry running attack to really make the rest of their offense go. And the Colts, that's their strength. They're a run-stopping defensive line. And they're going to make things tough for him. And they got Darius Leonard, who's a really good in coverage for a linebacker, and he's going to line up on Jonnu for plenty of plays this game. So the matchup defensive to the offense is good, but you still got Vrabel, who's a great coach, and you got Tannehill, who is just has pulled off quite a few miracles this year, and it's really tough to, like, I have a hard time kind of seeing the Titans winning this, but I mean, they won that Ravens game outright. I don't know. It's tough for me to see the Titans winning it, but it's easy for me to see them covering. But it's also easy for me to see the Colts covering the -3. So I think if I went with my logic from the first time, this time they're at home, -3-point spread. In theory, that's like more favorable, and I would take the Colts side of it. But I'm just afraid of Vrabel and the attitude of that team coming out and covering that +3. And the Colts are good, but they're not that good. I think their secondary can be exploited. They're not really that good. And A.J. Brown is a dynamic player, so he could break one off. And Phil Rivers he's played much better lately, but he's definitely struggled at times. So, and they got Michael Pittman at wide receiver. He's their only good wide receiver at this point. The tight end game's kind of been spotty. And their run game, I don't know, the Titans defense I think has played better lately, but the Colts run game looked good against the Packers last week, but I think the Titans is probably a little bit better equipped to stop it. So I guess we'll see. I'm going to enjoy watching this game, a big division matchup for deciding who's going to win that division, but I just can't. I keep tossing and turning unless some more news comes out. I just can't pick a side here. I keep flip-flopping, and right now I can't recommend it either way. Then two games that are off the board. We got Ravens at Steelers. This was supposed to be on Thursday. Got pushed to Sunday. It's probably going to get pushed to Monday or Tuesday because now there's more positive cases coming out of the Ravens camp. Just kind of annoying, including Lamar Jackson. I mean, this was originally listed as Steelers -5. You got to like the Steelers in that one just because the Ravens have played so poorly lately. Steelers defense getting after Lamar, flustering him. He's a quarterback. He can only throw in the middle of the field. He's just not that good. So if they can get after Lamar, get out ahead on offense with that, Big Ben-led passing attack with all those great wide receivers they have, I'd take that Steelers -5, but it's off the board now. And if it's RG3 starting, who knows what the spread will be. So, I like the Steelers to win it, but we'll have to see if that game even happens. The other game that's off the board right now is Chicago at Green Bay. And Chicago was +8.5. But now Nick Foles is not practicing, and they think Mitch Trubisky is going to start. But it's not on the board because there's still some uncertainty there, I guess. So we'll see. I actually think I like Chicago better with Trubisky at the helm just because he can move a little bit, make some plays with his legs. So if they ask him, if they let the reins off Trubisky, I think he can do as good of a job as Foles, probably a little bit better. So if it was Foles still starting, I don't know. That offense is so bad. And the Green Bay has been exploited. Their run game, I don't know. I'd probably end up avoiding it anyway, but I was kind of liking that Chicago +8.5 just because you have the good Chicago defense and Green Bay, who's had some hiccups along the way. But right now it's off the board. Trubisky probably starting. I don't know. I'll watch that game. I'll cheer against the Pack just because that's what I do. But yeah, I guess nothing else to say about that game. We'll see when Matt Nagy gets fired here. There's a couple coaches who will be on the chopping block in the next couple weeks here. We'll see Adam Gase, Matt Nagy, Matt Patricia. Who else we got? Doug Marrone has kind of been a dead man walking all season. Yes, interesting stuff on the horizon for some of those things. But yeah, that's all I got. Sorry it was a long one, but thanks for listening to the podcast. Good luck on any bets you make this weekend. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving.